Hello, and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. Today, I want to bring attention to something real quick before I talk about the book I'm going to be reviewing. I normally am in my little reading room library area, and there's two windows that gives me brilliant natural light. Well, today it is overcast as heck outside, so I have the room light on. So it's probably gonna look a little weird or a little different than what you're used to seeing, but that's because the lighting is a little off. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing a book review for His Only Wife by Peace Adzo Medie. And I will apologize in advance. I know I'm going to be butchering names throughout this video. There are a lot of African surnames, and I know my southern accent is not going to allow me to be great. But yes, His Only Wife by Peace Adzo Medie. I think that's how you pronounce it. So hopefully you guys can see that cover. Okay, I'm going to already get my notes out here. This was another book I got from the Overdrive Libby app from the library. The book group that I'm in, that I mention all the time, this was a book that they were going to be doing a virtual discussion on, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll, join a virtual discussion, because I have yet to join a virtual discussion as a reader. I've done a couple as an author where people have read my books and I've Zoomed with them to discuss my books, but I haven't done one yet as a reader. So I was thinking, oh, that may be cool. I'm gonna, join in on the fun. So I read the book, and let me just say the book, I think this was the debut for this author, and it is very well written. I mean, her imagery is palpable, takes place on the continent of Africa. I just didn't like it though. And only because of the subject matter. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Like, as a reader, no matter how well written the story is, no matter how colorful the dialogue is, sometimes it's just about the subject matter or the story itself, because it's something that I personally don't like. It made me not enjoy the story as much, because the whole way through, and maybe this was the kind of the point, through most of the story I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't have, I don't see how, and they shouldn't have, and she should have, I was just getting so pissed at the main characters. It kind of reminded me in a weird way of Crazy Rich Asians, because let me tell you what this book is about. Let me see, make sure I got my notes here. It's about arranged marriage and a family, an overbearing, wealthy family, sticking their nose where it doesn't belong and pressuring the son to marry who they feel is appropriate. Just like Crazy Rich Asians. Except, it was obvious that in that book, the main character, I can't remember his name, no, it was Nick, he was obviously in love with the woman that he ended up marrying. But in this particular book, because it took place in Africa, and I'm trying to think I remember Accra, ACCRA, was the main location where his family lived, and I think the girl was from a village called Ho, H-O. In that part of the continent where the story took place, and I know that this goes on in a lot of different cultures, and so I don't know, like, the realism, of it for her book, if this was just something that she kind of drummed up from her imagination, or if this is something that legitimately happens where men can have multiple wives. So the book is, there's the main character, there's a young woman named Afi, A-F-I, Afi, and she has made an agreement to marry a man named Eli. And the reason that she does this is because her father passed away, and her and her mother were just left basically indigent, you know, and they're having to rely on the quote unquote kindness of family and strangers. And but there's the thing that was also annoying the hell out of me, like nobody did anything for anybody in this book without having an expectation that they were going to get something out of the deal, you know. So this woman who had been taking care of her and her mom, you know, by giving her mom a job, giving them somewhere to live, her son Eli had taken up with another woman, you know, with a woman who his family didn't like. They just did not like this woman. I mean, they were disparaging her, and the way that they were making her sound before, you know, the book goes on. I mean, I legit thought that maybe, you know, he had married like a man, or maybe someone that was trans or something, because they were so fixated on her appearance, and they were saying she looked a little masculine, and they think she put a spell on him. And I was like, well, maybe he's gay or something, and he just don't want to tell his family. Well, we come to the end of the book, and I'm jumping to the end. I'll go back to like kind of more what happened. That wasn't even the case at all. The reason why they hated this woman so much is because she just basically gave the middle finger to all their traditions and all their customs and didn't want to have any part of it. So because they couldn't control her, they tried to find someone that they could, right? So that's where Afi comes in. So she marries this guy, and he wasn't even there for the wedding. He sent like he was out of town. He didn't even like video conference or Zoom in. It was just like all of his family. They like brought gifts to her family, because I guess that's kind of the traditional thing, the opposite of a dowry or whatever. And they kind of, I mean, they served as proxy for him, like saying that, yeah, he's going to marry her. And it was like a village wedding that was actually legit. I mean, as legit as it can be. It wasn't like on paper or legal, like in the courts, but it was something that people in that village, including Eli, they honored that particular marriage. So she goes into Accra from her village, you know, nice place that they put her up at, condo, you know, flat or apartment or whatever. And it was weeks before she saw him. Weeks. So, you know, he was still with the other woman, who, by the way, he has a child with, right? And it's just, I guess my problem with this is, even like in Crazy Rich Asians, again, I keep making that comparison, for these stories to be taking place in modern time, it just annoys me that grown-ass people don't have agency over their own decisions and what they get to do, because their family is putting pressure on them to, you know, to do whatever. And it just, you get all these people involved, and it just becomes a mess, which is what happened in this book. So let me see, let me get my notes. Yeah, like I said, Afi didn't see Eli, you know, the girl from the village in Ho, didn't even see him for weeks after they were married. They ended up meeting technically for the first time. I think he took her out to lunch, then he left again, and then he came back, and he spent some time with her, and they actually end up forming a weird sort of relationship. I mean, he stayed with her for a while, and I guess because he was on the outs with this other woman, and her name was Muna, M-U-N-A, and I mean, she falls in love with him, he falls in love with her, but he's basically at every turn letting her know he's not leaving this other woman. So he has two wives technically. I don't think him and the other woman got married. Yeah, they didn't get married. So this other woman, I guess she's allowing this to happen as well, because she kept coming back into the picture, and I'm just like, it's no more guys where y'all live. Like, why everybody? I just could not. It just annoyed me. So anyway, the ending, a lot of people went on and on about the ending, and they thought it was such a great thing, and I won't spoil it, but I still feel like, for me, the very ending, I mean, from the very last sentence, the door was still kind of open for it to continue, you know, because she ends up, Afi ends up having a baby for Eli as well. So he's just, you know, still there in between these two women that have kids for him. And the only thing I will say, you know, Afi, she did end up making the situation. She wanted to be his only wife. That's a nod to the title, which he wasn't having, like I said. But she did end up making connections and going to school and doing things to better her situation while she was with him. She did take advantage of that instead of just kind of like sitting back and not doing anything, and now you got to go back to where you came from if this doesn't work out. So I will, you know, say kudos for that. But the rest of it, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. Like I said, well written. If you like the drama of things like that, or if it's something cultural that you can relate to, then you will really, really enjoy this book. I had a hard time with it. And only for those reasons, nothing else. It annoys me, you know, when, like I said, grown people, especially women, like, are in books where they are just kind of at the mercy of men, or they don't get to decide what they do with their bodies, their lives, and what have you. So this is a brief one today. I'm not even going to do a Dreamcast because it's very obvious. I mean, everybody in the book, I mean, I think the second woman, Muna, well, she was really the first woman, now wasn't she? But I think she was even from Ghana. So, like I said, the whole story takes place on the continent, and I believe the author is also, of, you know, African descent. So I feel like with a Dreamcast, the only thing that could happen is it would have to be actors that are, and I don't know if Nollywood, I know it's like Bollywood, but is it just Nigeria, or does it refer to all, you know, actors or actresses in the region? I don't know, but I saw that Nollywood, like, so only actors maybe from that region would do this justice. And I am not familiar with anybody, any African like actors that are popular, you know, over on the continent. So I'm gonna skip that for this particular book. But again, like I said, very good writing. I just personally didn't like the story. I, being the, you know, romantic that I am, and always looking for the happily ever after, I thought at some point when I was reading that he was going to end up going, you know, with Afi. Like it was going to be, you know, a story they could tell their children one day about how he was with someone else, but then, you know, his family arranged this marriage, and, you know, because she was a very likable character, very sweet girl, very smart, you know, very ambitious. We didn't get a whole lot from Muna's character in the book. I mean, except for at the end, like there was like kind of like this confrontation when Afi goes looking for Eli. But so I don't know what her status was. But Afi was a very likable character, and you know, I wish I liked it, you know, from that standpoint, because once I saw where it was really going, I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. I cannot. So anyway, his only wife, give it a try, you know. Everybody has a different experience with books. Everybody's going to have a different take, but that's my take. So thank you for watching, and make sure that, you know, if you have read the book, comment. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Like this video, and please subscribe to my page. Thank you.